curse God and die. Now, a lot of folks, they look at that verse and they give Job's wife a very difficult time. They look at Job's wife in this moment and they really give her a hard issue. They say to her, she wasn't a believer. They say about her, she was a harsh woman. I'm going to tell you something. You don't live in a household with someone like Job, and there's overall faithfulness in every area of his life, and there's not a woman there that's doing that. I want to tell you, my impression of her is she was a believer as well. I think what we forget sometimes is this. She's lost everything. All that. Hey, who do you think was helping Job build that wealth? All that's gone. Who do you think brought those kids into this world? Now look, if it's hard on Job, you know this, it's a lot harder on her. And she's going through that. And on top of that now, her husband's sick. Ladies, it's okay if you got to say this sometimes. I'm to my breaking point. I've had about all that I can take. It's hard. It's hard in this moment. And she looks at Job and all this, and you got to ask the question, where is this coming from? Is it coming from her hatred for God? Is it coming from her unfaithfulness to God? Or is it coming from just the fact, dear friend, she's having a weak moment and she's had all that she can handle, and she looks at Job and she says to Job, why don't you just curse God and die? Why are you holding on to your integrity? Hopefully Job understood this. This is coming from a moment of weakness. By the way, just because somebody says something in a time of pain, don't mean you've got to take it to heart. Doesn't necessarily mean, dear friend, that that's the way that they're living their life. I would ask you this. You ever said anything you ought not to say when you were hurting? You ever hit your thumb with a hammer? You ever stumped your toe? You ever had the agony of the moment press in on you and you didn't know what to say or where to turn, and you ended up not saying it exactly right? Give her the benefit of the doubt here. But move away from her for a moment. She said what she said. Job's having to listen to it. This is a woman he's built a life with. Now, I want to tell you something. There got to be somewhere along the way, Job loved her. I know back in that culture there was a lot of this, parents putting kids together and things of that nature. But somewhere along the way you start building a life with someone. And I kind of say it to you this way, if you're having 10 kids with someone, there's got to be something there. Amen? Go ahead, it's okay. You know what I'm talking about. Job's having to listen to her. And he's seeing the discouragement in her. And this is what he knows. I can't do anything about that. And this is the question, Job. Is God still enough? Number 5. Is God enough when your colleagues are discouraging? Boy, Job's friends come in at the end of the chapter here. They see Job and they come and they sit for 7 days. They don't say anything. They'd been better off never to say anything, but then they go to talking. And they spend the vast majority of the book of Job trying to convince him to confess to some sin that he committed that caused all of this trouble. And it just one after another, Job continues to defend himself. Job continues to say, "I've not done any of that. If I'd have done that," he says in one place, I'd announce it. I'd confess it. I've not done any of that. But here they are. They're all around him, one after another. I'm going to tell you, it's just like a firing squad. They're shooting at him. They're condemning him. They're saying, "This is you've done something. You've just hit it. Nothing like this happens to a righteous man." Job finally has to say this in chapter 16, verse 2. "I have heard many such things. Miserable comforters are y'all." Boy, what are you going to do when you can't find anybody to help you in this life? When there's nobody to comfort you? Hey, you ever been in a place in life that you just said to yourself, I wish somebody somebody would just care. I wish somebody would just show some compassion. I wish somebody would show some understanding. Oh, Job, his very best friends in life turn against him in this moment. And what he says is this: you're miserable countrymen. Is God enough when your colleagues turn against you? I said there's 5, there's 6. Is God enough when your character's defamed? Oh, what are you going to do, dear friend, when they lie about you? What are you going to do when your character is called into question? Can I tell you this? Job's character is called into question time again, not just by these 3 friends, by the community at stake. It's called into question as well. Job would say this in chapter 29. Verses 7 through 11, when I went out at the gate through the city, when I prepared my seat in the street, the young men saw me and hid themselves. The aged arose and stood up. The princes refrained from talking and laid their hand on their mouth. The nobles held their peace and their tongue cleaved to the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard me, it blessed me. And when the eye saw me, it gave witness to me. He said, before all this happened, you know what? I was respected in the community. The community loved me. They respected my walk with God. They respected the way I handled myself. All of this took place, but things changed.